I have to laugh at what's happening or I'm going to go crazy.
Right.
I'm going to break down. So it's okay if you find yourself laughing at this book. There is a reason why there's these little giggle lines, as I called them. And you want that release. Like I was just recently at Stephen Graham Jones's book signing, and he talked about how a scream and a laugh, they take the same amount of emotion and preparation and muscle. You just don't, your body doesn't know what's going to come out until you actually open your mouth. So I was like, oh, no wonder horror movies are funny and scary at the same time. But one of the reasons why I love horror, and this is why I thought this book was just great, is like horror. There is this horror part of this story. We have this like monster that came from a dead child's lung.
Yes.
This is where this is the origin story of a dead child is dead. A mother in her grief takes a lung and then creates this monster.
Yes.
But the monster the whole time is really the mother.
Yes.
And that is what made this book so incredible.
Like, who even cuts up their child? Like,
right. And how did nobody ask any questions when they went to cremation? Like, what, did they sew it up? And this is me in the legal world. Like, so a child dies in a house. We have no autopsy to speak of. We get a cremation. They dump the ashes in the lake where he actually crosses. That lake comes out multiple times. He crosses that lake again in human form, in ash form, and then in animal form, in primal form. We have a mother that is like so psychosis. She should have just been thrown into a mental institution the minute she cut up that little boy.
Mm-hmm.
We have a friend that is just in love and like doing what everyone kind of romanticizes is like, oh, one day they'll change and they'll pick me regardless of what sex they are. And then we have the husband that's like, you know what, actually I like men. So I'm going to go over here. And he kind of dates the male version of his ex-wife minus the plays. That's what I mean. Is like the horror is like, yeah, this book could wreck you if that opening chapter would have gone a little bit farther. And that's why I said that passage. I was like, I don't know if I'm going to be able to read this book. I'm going to have to cancel this podcast. I'm going to feel like a loser. Like, can we watch I don't know, can we watch La Llorona again? Or, Tigers Are Not Afraid. I don't care. Or can we watch the Spanish version of Frankenstein, the original version? Or Dracula. Like, I was like, oh no, I don't know. And I was public, so I couldn't be like, fuck. And then another way I judge a book is how scared I am is when I throw it across the room. Didn't chuck this one. I did hold it in frustration. A lot of it stemming from Magos, Ron, where I'm just like, I wanted to shake her. I wanted to hit her. I wanted to honestly push Lena out the door and like, girl, don't come back. This is not your home. You
deserve better.
Yeah, exactly.
And don't look back.
Go open a brothel where it's all non-sexual gratification. It's all pleasure. It's a pleasure dungeon or a pleasure palace.
Pleasure dungeon.
Dungeon.
I mean, exactly. I was thinking about the American Horror guy with the cocaine. And Gambino is right. This is a literary genre, Ben, because it is labeled. It is under horror. That's where it's under fictional horror. This is how this book is labeled. That's the section I had to go pick it up from. But it isn't like Stephen Graham Jones, where I'm a teenage slasher where the monster's chasing you, or I'm the monster, or Chuck Tingle, where his horror is definitely. So horror is changing in the sense that one, it's extremely popular. It's getting mass produced. A lot of writers are getting their comeuppance. Like if you've read White Horse, a great Native American author, Erica T. Worth, where she is dealing, or I like to say, she has a seance to kind of close with her mother. But stepdad demon comes up and is like, hey, girl, I want you too. So, this book is great. And Gambino is right. It is changing the way horror is, because when I read this book wasn't the horror. It was very Hitchcockian, where Psycho, the monster is human. I was so mad at Margos, Ron. Like you and I would have probably been like, right, I'm serious. Like I told my boyfriend, he was like, "How's your book?" I'm like, "It's really good." Thank you for taking care of me, because this is because I warned him, like, "Hey, this book might trigger me. We'll see where it is." Because I kind of showed him those passages. Like, "Are you gonna be okay?" I'm like, I'll be fine. I think I'm okay.
Yeah.
And that scene, it was like 4 in the morning and I couldn't, like, I just had to lay in my bed just like still and just like making a face of like I was so mad at that performance. And then M ran away and I'm like, well, I gotta figure out what happened to M. Poor M. And then I'm like, oh, M let his rage out. She triggered it. And then she still doesn't blame. She's like, I don't know what could have led to this. Oh, geez, I don't know. Like,
I will tell you, like, all of our book club episodes are by far our most popular episodes. So
that's kind of how I found you guys. Was I saw that you guys had the book club and Instagram somehow
Oh,
connected me with you guys,
cool.
and I was like, oh, well, this is when you guys were still Scream Sisters, and I was like, wait, 2 sisters in Texas that are that are brown ladies, and like, oh yeah, because I Texas, like, vamonos, let's do this. And then the banter between the siblings is what made me like happy. So when I listen to you guys at work, I'll be like, nah, working on my spreadsheets, la 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 la. And I think the first time I really reached out to you guys was when you guys did the Train to Busan.
yes, that's our favorite
Seriously,
movie.
that I saw that in theaters, and when the dad got bit and goes outside and leaves the daughter and she's screaming and then he like dies and his happy memory
Valerie did
is
not
her.
cry. Did you clock that? Valerie didn't cry.
Because she
Yeah, I
prepped me
did.
for it. So you cried?
No, I got up
bawled.
in I got up in a theater and screamed like what Magos described. Like, I seriously just like, no.
I
Roll
wish I'd seen
credits.
it in theaters. But
Oh my god, on theaters it was insane. Like I at one point I like almost choked on my popcorn because I was just like eating it to stuff my face to make myself more comfortable because I was like, "Argh." And when the dad dies, I was just like, no, why? Just like streaming tears, just like, oh, my ex-husband was so mad at me that I embarrassed him, but I wasn't the only woman that wanted to do that.
No,
I was just the
everybody-
only woman that ended up doing it.
Every like
No.
movie reviewer on YouTube that I've seen watch that movie, male and female alike, are all just bawling. It's probably the only zombie movie I've ever seen that made me cry.
That Night of the Living Dead, when he gets shot in the head because he survives and he still gets killed.
Right. Dwayne. Was that his name? Dwayne.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Also, it's the first time ever in cinematic history where a black man hit a white man and told him, I'm boss. Well, after this, I'm going to be reading Silvia Garcia Montero Garcia's new book, The
I
Seventh
saw
Veil of
that.
Solomon.
I
Yeah.
saw that at the not the library, Barnes and Noble also.
Yes.
Yeah, I pre-ordered that. And
Yeah.
another good one. Let me see. Let me look at my TV read. But speaking mainly on Latinos, the 19 Claws, the author of Tender is the Flesh. I'm sorry, Tender is the
Mhm.
Flesh. It is a rough
I
book.
bought it.
It is.
have it.
It's a great book, but it is so rough. It is so rough.
Is that
Forgotten
cannibalism
Sisters
too?
by yeah. Oh, it's more than that. I mean, it is like we're talking necrophilia. We're going into passages where we're like I said, I became a
Nice.
vegetarian for about 10 days. Forgotten Sisters by Cynthia Paleo. I read that's a great book. I love talking about that book.
And I've heard, Forgotten
I got to meet her and I
Sisters.
was like a little girl. I was just like, I love you so much.
What is her new one? Vanishing Daughters? Am I making
No,
that
the
up?
Forgotten Sister. Yeah, Vanishing Daughters is her new one that I've
New
already
one.
pre-ordered.
Okay.
But she won.
She's
won a Bram Stoker Award.
Mhm.
Yep.
She's
Let's see.
great. I love her.
Yeah, and like I said, another great Native American book is The White Horse.
Okay.
It was released 2 years ago, and I did tell the author like, hey, so this is where I hurt my book because I threw it across the room because I was so mad. And she smiled and she's like, thank you. I
Good.
threw
That's
it
the
across the
best
room.
thing ever.
And that is the review I want. In like the non-horror section, Anita Del Monte Laughs Last by Xochitl Gonzalez, who's also the author of Olga Daydreaming. That's her second novel. First novel is Olga Daydreaming, and Anita Del Monte Last Laughs. It's actually linked to a true crime case where an artist got thrown out the window, and it's clearly the husband, but the husband got away with it.
You're saying titles to me that sound so familiar, and so I'm like looking at like, do I already have that? And I just haven't.
Yeah, you
read it
probably
yet.
do. Because if you're like me, that's like I gotta support Annie
I
Brown.
buy these books, and then I have all these books I haven't read.
You know what? At our new Barnes and Noble that just opened up, like closer to our house, they have a whole section, like at the front of the store, that's just all like Latin American authors,
That's
which
nice.
is cool. It's so cool to look up on that shelf and like every name on there is just
We are in a renaissance. Like, it is a moment. It is.
It is. I think a lot of it has to do with American Dirt. We can just totally slam on that one later. That is a
Yes,
whole
that book.
episode. Yeah, it is that book. I read that book and wow, garbage. I actually know a few of the authors that she stole from because I reached out to. That's how I found Sylvia. Was she was like, "Don't buy her book, buy my book," and I was like, "Hi, I love you." And Velvet was the night and all that. So that's another good book. And my favorite of all, like my favorite literary author is Luis Alberto Urrera. He wrote The Devil's Highway. I highly
We
recommend
read
the
that
audio.
one. We read that one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The audiobook is so good because it feels like
she
Not
did
for
that.
this. We didn't read it for this.
No, we didn't read it for this, but yeah, Ronnie did the audiobook.
yeah, and it feels like a cuento. House of Broken Angels is the most like if you want to have like good grief, a good cry, but also makes you feel happy, like a Pedro Infante movie. Definitely House of Broken Angels is a good one. I'm trying to look through my books, but yeah, I mean, I love that Latino authors are having their moment. Gambino's book is coming; it's come out and it's sold out twice at my local bookstore. That I'm like,
Oh,
okay, order me
awesome.
another one.
That's awesome.
And then Sylvia was here in Seattle, and it was like to me, I was like meeting my hero. Like
Yeah.
I got to meet her mom. It was awesome because I went extra. I wore a veil.
With the veil.
I had to because it was about movies of the golden cinema. I had to.
Yes.
But yeah, Stephen Graham Jones. I was a teenage slasher. He's a Native American author. That book just came out a couple weeks ago, and that one if you like hair metal and horror, that book definitely joins it and does it all great. So
I have of Stephen Graham Jones. I haven't read it yet. The Only Good Indians. So I
that
wanna read
book
that one.
scared me to death.
Ooh, okay.
That
good.
one, like
glowing recommendation right there. I'll read it.
that one made me afraid of the fog for 2 days.
Nice. All right, I'm on it.
And you're just like you look outside and you're just like
That one just got bumped up then. Okay.
I was
Good to
just like I would look outside and I'm like I hate that I read this book. like
And you
like
live
I
in the
hate that
Pacific Northwest, which has
Mhm.
great murder mystery fog. Don't Watch at Night is a Nest production hosted by me, Valerie, and Veronica. Editing by me. Music by Omar Chakor. Production support for this episode provided by Lorenzo Villarreal and Alex Street. Listen to new episodes of Don't Watch at Night every other Monday, and don't forget to give us a rate and review. It's the best way to help us grow.